Right, this 90-90 position is a brilliant place to sort of like reteach breathing mechanics. And I know that kind of sounds a little bit silly because we've been breathing for a long time. Everybody knows how to breathe, but a lot of us breathe with some level of compensation. When we go into this 90-90 position, it kind of automatically puts us in this tiny little posterior tilt. I wouldn't even really call it posterior tilt. It's much more of just kind of like a neutral, even though that's a range position, where our rib cage and our pelvis are nicely stacked on top of each other. Stacked, they are aligned. And what that allows is for a decent swap between pressures. So when my diaphragm descends, my pelvic floor or pelvic diaphragm is also going to descend, and we're going to push pressure down. Then when we exhale, we're going to push pressure up. My pelvic diaphragm or pelvic floor is going to ascend, and my diaphragm is also going to ascend and produce force to push out. So we can kind of teach how to swap these mechanics really, really well, or how to swap pressure, I should say, really, really well. Versus if we were in kind of like an extended position, when I push down, I'm more likely to kind of flare out my ribs versus actually get this proper descension of the pelvic diaphragm. Stack on top of that, the way that we are going to breathe is going to be very specific to try and teach the proper musculature to take control of the situation. So the way that we're going to breathe is going to try and teach these obliques to control our lower rib cage a little bit more, so that when we inhale, we have to expand more through the upper ribs. Now, typically, we'll see a lot more compensations happen at these lower ribs because they don't have a strong anchoring system, because they are malleable, because they do move every single day. We'll see a lot more flared ribs. We'll see a lot more belly breathing, kind of this kind of motion going on. Call this bucket handle up, but you'll learn all about that in Upper Body Week. So we're going to try and teach our external obliques to pull them down and then maintain them down whilst we inhale, so that the rest of our rib cage can go through the proper function. Now, to do so, I want a big open mouth, sigh everything out, almost like you're bored. Some people say fogging glass, some people say sighing. Whatever works for you, just find a way to be super relaxed, long, and slow, until you feel your lower ribs kind of start to come down. So hands on your ribs, big exhale. Once you've hit that exhale, put the tongue on the roof of your mouth and pause for a little second. So we've got a big long exhale, 5 to 7 seconds, until the obliques kick on. Pause. And then when we inhale, we want these obliques to stay on and not just completely let go of everything, and slowly and silently inhale through the nose. Has to be silent. We're not, because that's just tension. I can feel my neck tighten up when I do that. I want it to be slow, soft, and gentle, and you should feel slowly, kind of like rep after rep or breath after breath. You should even see this if you're watching a client do it, their rib cage start to move a little bit more. So we're encouraging a little bit more kind of movement of these upper ribs that are often stuck. So we do a big long exhale until we feel our obliques come down. Pause. Inhale slowly. And repeat. So we want it as long as we can. I kind of rushed through that a little bit, but the key thing is we don't want these six-pack abs to come on. These six-pack abs are going to pull that sternum down. It's not an aggressive crunch. It's not trying to get everything out. It's trying to get everything out as close as we can before other things start to kick on. So as much air out as you possibly can before you feel like your abs kick on. Once your six-pack abs kick on, you're now using a rectus strategy to pull our rib cage down versus an oblique strategy to kind of like close these ribs off.